we must spend Bitcoin. That's something maybe that no one is talking about, because everyone is like, oh, you don't sell your Bitcoin. No, you do. You spend them, which is very controversial, but I think it depends on the situation you are in. I mean, I have a strong position on the matter because I only have Bitcoin. I have nothing else. So I'm supposed to not selling it, not spending it. What am I supposed to be living with? Like air? So, of course, when Saylor said things like, oh, you don't sell your Bitcoin, well, it depends. If Bitcoin is everything you have to sell Bitcoin. Plus, who wants to buy an asset nobody wants to buy or sell? It's useless, right? It has to circulate.
Are you now completely Bitcoin only, like 100% Bitcoin and dropped everything else?
No, not yet, because we didn't have an altcoin season, right? So, and I don't think maybe we won't even have it because the Bitcoin dominance is going higher. So the plan was to wait until the ratio between Bitcoin and altcoins would have been, I mean, I'm majority of it anyway, like 90 something percent Bitcoin. But whatever 10, 15% I have left into shitcoin, I was hoping to see an altcoin season to get rid of it. But at least Ethereum is dying. If you chart Ethereum versus Bitcoin, oh my God, it's very depressing. Like, if you have Ethereum, of course, if you hold Ethereum, it's extremely depressing. So I was hoping for, I don't know, like a better maybe move. But I still believe that at some point when Bitcoin is going to go, because I think we have another leg up, at least 150 or 180, then at that point over there, people are going to take profit into altcoins because it happens every single time. And if history proves to be, correct, then we will see another speculation happening. If not, well, then the cycles have changed forever, right? It's possible.
I see kind of strategy and Bitcoin associated products and leveraged products, because strategy is basically for me a leverage position on Bitcoin. And you can even take a leverage on strategy, so MicroStrategy. This is kind of the altcoin season. If you, because most of the people say like, oh, I like Bitcoin, but I'm like with 10% or 5% of my portfolio, I'm also gambling in altcoins to get a little bit more Bitcoin. I want to outperform Bitcoin. Now you can do that with an actual business, with like an actual CEO. Like there's a well-established business where you don't have to rely on a project that might have been around for like half a year or something like that, where maybe tomorrow it's completely gone. So it feels like strategy is now a safer bet to outperform Bitcoin and might steal the thunder for altcoin season.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I still think we have the crypto people, though. They are not going to buy an ETF. Or, for example, you can also buy MSTY, which is an interesting play, which is speculation on options. So you can be a degenerate even if you are in traditional financial system. But I still think the crypto people are going to degenerate into altcoins, right? They're going to buy Solana, buy Ethereum, buy Cardano, whatever, because maybe this time will be different, but I strongly disagree. I think we will see still a huge amount of people, they'll gamble with these tokens, especially with some like horrible ideas like XRP and all those terrible coins. But we've seen it also in the Trump administration. They have a stack, right, with Cardano, XRP, Solana. I don't think we're going to get rid of them. Also with the meme coin has gone bananas. I think at some point it was like 20,000 tokens a day. I mean, crazy stuff, right? So I don't think we will be able to clean completely the thing. There's going to be people gambling in altcoins. I think maybe they have more options these days. They have more meme coins. There is more plays. I think we'll see more ETFs coming up. ETF for XRP, ETF for, we already have one for Ethereum, which is going terribly, by the way. But I think that's going to help the crypto gamblers in Wall Street to take some positions. But like I said, I'm still expecting altcoins to rise at some point. The dominance from Bitcoin is taking over, but it only happens in the cycles, right? Bitcoin goes up at some point and then it goes down versus Bitcoin, versus altcoins, even though you have a small window in which some of those, whatever projects you want to name them, shitcoins, whatever you want to call them, they will briefly outperform Bitcoin, maybe for a month, maybe for 3 weeks. It's a gamble to find them. It's impossible to find them. But there is on data, there is even a website called itsaltcoinseason.com or something that shows you on the 90 days how many altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin. And there is a few. I think there is 5 at the moment. But it's just a gamble, right? So I think we will see altcoin season. When? That's the $1 million question. I don't know. That's why Bitcoin is a play, right? Bitcoin is a safe play, always.
Isn't that? I saw the chart, but I'm currently confused with it. Maybe you can help me a little bit. Don't do that big with Google a lot, but I've seen since I think the switch from proof of work of proof of stake in Ethereum was somewhere around 2022, right?
I'm not entirely sure when that happened, but when that happened, it triggered definitely a bunch of suspicious slash reaction in investors, because that was a 360 going completely on the other way, right? So proof of stake, it's something I don't necessarily agree with, and also it's far away from decentralization. It's more towards centralization, and it there are some projects like Solana, for example, or XRP. They are faster because they're centralized, right? So it depends on what you need to do. But it feels like there's been a shift in policies. There's been more competition for Ethereum. I mean, 2017, when Ethereum launched, there was nothing besides a few projects, right? Nowadays, you have so many tokens planning to do what Ethereum wants to do. Plus, Ethereum wants to do way too many things. Not an expert in the matter. I do have a small amount, like I told you, in my portfolio, but it's insignificant, right? Like it's my casino. If it goes to nothing, I don't care. Bitcoin is where I store my wealth. But
I wasn't aware that Ethereum is kind of crash. I mean, now maybe we should do it the other way around to make
if you chart Bitcoin, if you chart Bitcoin versus Ethereum or Ethereum versus Bitcoin, you would see there's just like a downfall. It's the lowest since I think 2018. It's really depressing. It's really bad. I mean, to be fair, everything versus Bitcoin is depressing. XRP, Cardano, but Ethereum in particular. I mean, not many people would have imagined, I mean, unless you are a Maxi, right? And by the way, shocker, most of the Maxi have started buying altcoins, right? Because nowadays it's easy to jump in the market in 2020, 2021, 2022. So, everything is a shitcoin. Yeah, but in 2017 it was different, man. Like people were buying altcoins because you didn't know. Like it was a very different space. Now, of course, if you jump in and you read the books, there is much more education. There is your podcast, many other content creators, they focus only on Bitcoin. It's much easier to be a Maxi. And by the way, I believe that's my opinion. I mean, at least that's my experience. You become a Maxi because you buy shit. Then you realize that it doesn't work well in your portfolio. So you decide to stay on the good stuff, right? So it's a path. And I think... Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted. I actually had Ethereum till I think the beginning of 2022. So I think probably like 2 years before I even started the podcast, I went all in Bitcoin, and it was right around the time where the proof of stake change happened, and ever since that happened, Bitcoin is just going up in terms of Ethereum since they switched to proof of stake, because then you're like, oh, okay, now it's, what is it now? we cannot trust it at all.
Yeah, and then you have things like Solana. They're saying, "Oh, Solana decentralized, dude. You need KYC to run a node, so it's not decentralized." There is a lot of misinformation out there, and there is not many nodes.
You have to be KYC to be a Solana node.
100%, as well as XRP, if you want to. I mean, depending on the node you want to run, but if you want to run the good node per se, they have to vet it. So at the end of the day, it's super centralized. Then the XRP ledger, on the other hand, is technically decentralized, but there are a lot of things out there, right? So we have to be careful when we say, oh, this is decentralized, this is centralized. I mean, the only decentralized asset is Bitcoin. Everything else is a shitcoin. Like, this is common knowledge, right? Then you can go and bury yourself into some technicalities, but if you want to run a node for Bitcoin, you don't need anything. You just need to have internet and some CPU, right? Whether if you want to run something else, well, depending on what it is, it's a different story. I'm not a technician, but I've spoken to a bunch of people and they said, look, when it comes to XRP and Solana, that's why they are quote faster, because they can run their network in a different way. And I think there is a use case out there for those things. Not that I support them in many ways, but if you think about fiat, for example, fiat money, or even like centralized finance, like your bank account, for example, they'll find a use case for it. Like, think about the Trump USD1. They launch a stable coin on BNB, right? of course, they saw how much money Tether is bringing home. They have like, what, 100 people and they make trillions of dollars a year. So of course they want to have their stable coin. So there's going to be a use case, which sadly is not going to be any good for us. But I like to see the glass half full. So I believe it's going to help propagate the Bitcoin message, right? Because if you centralize money even more, and by the way, shocker, when people are saying, oh, CBDCs have been banned, well, USDT is a CBDC to a degree, right? It's smart money. You can control them. USDC is terrible. So they are already there. And now Trump is building his own. And as much as I appreciate everything he's doing for crypto, they are making the life for crypto people easier, and also for Bitcoiners, because for me, Bitcoin is not crypto. Still, they have an agenda and they are politicians. So let's not forget, they always lie. So I don't care about politics much. I just buy Bitcoin. I stack sats. That's my religion. But and I'm happy for everything they're doing in favor of Bitcoin, of course. But Bitcoin doesn't care. In 10 years from now, Kamala Harris, Trump, who cares? 10 years, Bitcoin will forget, right? Just Bitcoin does what Bitcoin do, and then everything else moves accordingly.
And it's a good point, because it's like, okay, CBDC, what does it mean? Central bank digital currency. Yeah, the euro is digital already, like for 90% of the time. It's digital. Cash is not a lot in circulation, and it's a central bank currency. So where's the difference? Yeah, they have maybe more control of it. They have maybe more tight control over it, but it's already a central bank digital currency that we are already using. It might get worse. It probably get worse anyways, no matter how they are calling it. And the same, I look at all the stable coins. I even look at all the altcoins like that. I think the only not CBDC is Bitcoin. That's the only thing that is not controlled by any central party and is digital. Like the only thing that's digital that is not controlled by anyone else. So they are all CBDCs, just not Bitcoin.
Exactly, and then you have a grade. Maybe there is lesser of the evil per se. Like Tether, they are nice guys. They are Bitcoiners. I get it, but still, there is a CEO. There is a company. They can put pressure. I don't know if you remember. I think it was in winter last year. Russia and China wanted to do transaction. We call it the petrodollar because they use dollar to buy petrol, and they've done transaction in USDT, and they've been blocked. So you tell me if it's not a CBDC, like you can revert transaction, you can block transaction. So if someone goes to Tether and say, hey, I want you to block that thing, they have to bend the knee, right? Whether with Bitcoin, where do you go? Nobody technically owns anything. I mean, okay, there is the argument of the nodes and so forth, but nobody owns it. There is no CEO, there is no company. So you can't just, whether XRP, for example, there is two co-founder, you can go and you can find them, you can point two guns, right? Or you can make an interesting, like, look at Ton, the CEO was put in jail and then he's been freed. God knows what he agreed to do. I don't know, but I'm sure they found an agreement, right? And I'm not judging. I'll be probably in the same shoe. If they catch me, put me in jail, and they threaten to whatever do to me, I'll say, whatever, okay, let's talk about it like anybody else. So whether with Bitcoin, there is no one you can corner. That's why it's the only one. And some people think, by the way, that that's a weakness. I found it hilarious, but because they think it's going to come out, this Satoshi guy at some point and dump 1 million Bitcoin to us, which is hilarious if you ask me.
What do you think? Because I personally don't think that it's even a possibility that he comes back and dumps it. Like, no matter, I just don't think we will ever know who Satoshi Nakamoto really is. But let's make that experiment. Let's say Satoshi Nakamoto actually comes out and actually proves that he can sign the Bitcoin and the private key, and he can actually prove that he holds those keys. And he says weird stuff about Bitcoin. He tries to dump it and all those things. What do you think will happen? Is that a worst case situation for short and medium term?
That's a good question. I don't know. First of all, I don't think it's one person. I think it's a group of individuals, because for whatever that shenanigans they put together, it probably required. The only analogy that shows how old I am, it reminds me of the A-Team. The TV series of the 80s, where you had the guy with a cigar, Hannibal. You have the pilot. You have. I think there's a bunch of people. It's a group, maybe small, and some of them have died. They're not with us. They died for sure. But I think it would be a terrible move because one, the person who's going to come forward is going to put himself or herself in danger. Because, I mean, imagine, hey, I'm Satoshi Nakamoto. I'm the guy or the woman who created the most valuable network on Earth. So that would be a stupid move. Second, I don't think they need the money. I mean, I'm sure they mined a ton of Bitcoin. So the 1 million Bitcoin in the network is, I think it's a bait. I think it's been designed to, it's like, hey, it's over there. Go and catch it if you can. Go and crack it. Which, by the way, at some point with quantum computers, maybe that could be in danger. I think that can be cracked if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me here because I'm not a technician, but I've spoken to some people that said, hey, that might be in danger. But it's 1 million, right? There's 21, arguably less because some have been lost forever. So I wouldn't worry much about it. If anything, I would worry more about BlackRock. They are buying a stupid amount every day. Like, I don't know if you've seen on the news, I was reading an article this morning. In the past week, BlackRock alone, or the ETF, well, basically BlackRock mainly, because they are the one who buy the most. So the old ETF bought 6 times the amount has been mined in the network. So at some point, the halving is going to kick in. And I think that could create an issue. And as much as I'm behind the ETF, I think it's a product that helped us to get to where we are now, not just money-wise, but also awareness. It could create some problems, right? Because it's not an in-kind ETF. So if I do buy the ETF today or tomorrow and I want to sell it, well, they don't have to give me the Bitcoin back. They just give me fiat and they keep the Bitcoin. Saylor with strategy is another major issue, I think, because what happens when it steps down? What happens when, I don't know, in 10 years from now, someone else takes the company and goes, this Bitcoin thing, I'm done, man, let's sell it. We don't know, right? So it's always, I mean, as much as I love Saylor, I'm behind what everything is doing. We have seen Jack Mulder now coming up and say 21 is doing the same thing. We don't have to, and by the way, arguably, it doesn't even have custody. So that's another, the Coinbase has the Bitcoin. I'm sure you've seen a bunch of memes saying, hey, we have Saylor Bitcoin. I don't think it's simple as that, but all I'm trying to say is if you walk down the path of the purist, you'll have to have your coin into your own storage, but that wouldn't have taken Bitcoin where it is today. So I think it's a good mix of everything. So the best way that I like to see it is like, I don't judge, I don't care. Bitcoin is out, right? And people do whatever they want with it, even on the ordinal inscriptions. I don't care. I'm for the free market. If people want to do stuff and there is a market for it, who am I to stop it? At the end of the day, we are all interpreting what Bitcoin or Satoshi wanted because he left 9 pages into a PDF. So it's not much. There's a lot of space for interpretation. In fact, we've seen a bunch of forks, right? So it's an interesting conversation, but I don't think I would worry much. There might be some who would panic sell because nowadays people sell for everything. Trump loses something, they sell. Trump wins, they sell. Something happens, they sell. On the other hand, if a double spending would come in, well, that would be a big issue, right? Because that means they can revert transactions. So that means the network is not secure. So that will worry me way more than Satoshi come up and say, hey, I'm Satoshi, which it's very unlikely. Like a meteor destroying our planet is probably most likely than Satoshi saying, hey, I'm back, bros. That's how I see it.
Thank you for watching this video. This was only a snippet of the podcast. And if you want to watch the full episode and get all of the context of this episode, you can click right here or here. Oh, maybe also here.